Here I am again back with my five head. Anyway, I realized something. Something that I couldn't quite I couldn't quite put my finger on what was going on, right? But I knew that there was a reason why I'm experiencing all this unnecessary over the top stress to the point where I'm having a headache. And I have tried to attribute it to a toothache. I've tried to attribute it to everything else, but I had to really just stop and listen to my spirit. And I'm intentionally leaving that in the air. I had to stop and listen to my spirit. I had to be still and know. Now, there was a time when I thought that be still required me to do something, like what I do when I am heavily masking, when I am acting like I am, the life of the party and all of that kind of stuff, when really all I want to do is just go somewhere and hide so nobody can't see me. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what I'm coming to understand about be still is that you have to be in order to still. I know. But come with me for a minute. You have to be in order to still. Now, I'm always talking about how we have been convinced that we are human doings and not human beings. So when I say that you have to be in order to still, that means stop striving, stop thrusting, stop moving, stop trying to engage your mind, your will, your emotions, your intention to still. That's not what you need in order to still. In order to still, you must be. Be still. And so, when I followed my own advice and I became still, what I realized is that this headache, this stress, this striving inside of me that is hectic and chaotic is my I want to say it in a way that makes sense. I know how I understand it, but I want to say it in a way that other people can understand it too. So what I had to do was come to an understanding that who I would have been had there been no trauma does not matter. Who I would have been, who I could have been, who I should have been does not matter anymore. Now, maybe other people understand that right away, Maybe I'm just the slow one. But it took me a minute to get to that conclusion. It took me a minute to realize that the reason why I have a headache, the reason why all of this internal turmoil literally is because my future is telling me, heifer, let it go. Let it go. She never materialized because she was never meant to. She was your expectation of an undamaged self. She was other people's expectations of who you should have been, and those weren't the same. She was who you became in order to placate your tormentors. And that is many along the way in life. But what I have to do now is I have to release who I may have been, who I could have been, who I should have been, because the truth of the matter is I can never be her. If there was ever a chance for her to exist, she did exist, just not in the form that I was expecting. It was my own, I guess, expectation that was unmet. But either way, it is now time for me to mourn her death. It's very interesting that as soon as I said mourn her death, I was reminded of something that my life coach made me do years ago. She made me have a funeral for my homeless self. I had to bury her. I had to eulogize her. I had to first understand who she was so that I could give her a proper eulogy. And then I had an actual funeral at the church for her. There was a funeral. And I did, even though I did not process that particular part of my journey, and there are parts of my journey that I have yet to process, and there's a reason for that. Because I can't get stuck in the minutia of the emotions attached to all of that right now while I'm trying to complete this doctorate. So those are things that I've stuck a pin in and I'll go back to, but I had to have a funeral for my homeless self. And I left her at that graveyard, and I fear that it is necessary for me to funeralize, eulogize, release, and let go of who I may have been without the trauma, because it doesn't even matter. What matters is who I am now and who I am becoming, because I am still becoming. I am still becoming. So, ask yourself, if you have chaos going on inside to the point where you are getting a headache, you are stressed out, if this is happening to you, then I encourage you to be and then still. Be still and know that I am God. Now, there is a lot of things that I could say about that, what I just said, that scripture, but I'm not going to. I want you to ponder it. I want you to find it if you've never looked at it before. Be still. Be still and know that I am God. Okay, so anyway, start your healing journey as soon as possible. In order to start your healing journey, you must first acknowledge that there is something from which you need to heal. Once you do that, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. And you can do that the same way that you can eat the entire world, and that is one bite at a time. Deuces.